book off my bookshelf is County Folklore, Leicestershire and Rutland, collected and edited by Charles James Bilson, issued by the Folklore Society. Now this is a book of extracts and it's printed, and it's number 3, and it's printed in 1895, but it refers to a lot of texts that are a lot earlier, which I will endeavour to find those books somewhere. But for now, get yourself a cuppa, sit back and enjoy today's episode. Welcome back. This episode is about Leechcraft. To rub them 3 times with the rind of stolen bacon. The rind was then to be nailed up on some outside wall, and as it dried up, the wart would dry up likewise. Wart charms. I remember in Leicestershire seeing the following charm employed for the removal of a number of warts on my brother, a child about 5 years old. In the month of April or May, he was taken to an ash tree by a lady who carried also a paper of fresh pins. One of these was first stuck through the bark and then pressed through the wart until it produced pain. It was then taken out and stuck into the tree. Each wart was thus treated, a separate pin being used for each. The wart certainly disappeared in about 6 weeks. I saw the same tree a year or 2 ago when I was very thickly studded over with old pins, each the index of a cured wart. Get a black snail, rub it on the wart, then stick it on a thorn until it dies. Take the pod of a broad bean, rub it on the wart, then either bury it or throw it over the shoulder without looking back. Cut an apple in half, rub the wart with the cut parts, bury the apple in a secret place, and it decays, so will the wart. It is believed by the presentry that a sanitary power is imparted in the wedding ring, so that any growth like a wart on the skin may be removed by rubbing a wedding ring upon them. I have known the cure applied several times in the case of a sty in the eye. Churchyard mould. Churchyard mould, a cure for rheumatism. This day a very odd experiment was tried upon a young man about 25 years of age who was much afflicted with the rheumatism. He was ordered to be buried in the earth for 2 hours, naked, his face only uncovered, which operation was accordingly performed, and he lay the time. The man says he feels himself much better. It is said he is to be buried again tomorrow for 3 hours. Various. Docks and nettles. When a lad is stung by a nettle, he generally searches for a dock, with the leaves of which he whips the part affected, repeating the words, "In dock, out, nettle," a word with every blow. Spiders. Being in the country in the vacation time not many years since at Lindley in Leicestershire, my father's house first observed this amulet of a spider in a nutshell lapped up in silk, so applied for an arg by my mother. Charms. Swallowing shot, a recognised remedy for the raisin o' the lights. Heartburn. Fried mice are an infallible cure for whooping cough. Fried mice eaten for quinsy. Charm of whooping cough. To seat the patient on a donkey with its sick face towards its tail and give him a roast mouse to eat. It is hardly necessary to say that he must not know that he is eating. The same practice has prevailed in Leicestershire. Silverweed. Used in Leicestershire for removing marks of smallpox. Pegging calves. The custom of pegging calves or yearlings for the blackleg, which in my remembrance was so common as to almost universal, is now rapidly dying out. It was performed either in the ear or the dewlap. In the former case, a hole was either punched or burnt with a hot iron through the ear, generally on the first Friday after the birth of the calf. In the latter, a hole was burnt through both skins of the dewlap, when the animal was a year or sometimes 2 years old. In both cases, a twist of horsehair about 5 inches long was inserted through the hole and secured with a wooden peg at each end. This twist was moved backwards and forwards once a week like a seton, and occasionally dressings were applied. The disease itself, called a Sussexer pook, is a congestion of the blood vessels in the leg, which entirely discolours the flesh and is incurable. An animal attacked by its called black leg, a term metaphorically applied to the victim of mortal disease. Charm against drunkenness. An almanac for 1678, calculated by John Goldsmith, in which were some curious manuscripts, notes, recipes, etc., among which the following rather singular one: Take the lungs of a hog, roast it. Whoever eateth thereof fasting shall not be drunk that day. How liberally sober he takes his drinks. Charming for frost. Whooping cough, fits, etc. The operator, generally an old woman, draws a circle around the sufferer's face 9 times with her forefinger, pausing each time at the centre of the forehead and the chin, her lips moving slightly during the performance. My friends remember their young sister being charmed for whooping cough. The house was made scrupulously tidy and clean, and the children were dressed in their best and clean white pinafores. They sat on stools and were not allowed to utter a word while the old woman charmed the baby that the mother held on her knees. It would be very interesting to discover the words of the charm, but the charm was supposed to be of non-effect if the words were known, not to be a charm in fact. Probably they were transmitted from mother to daughter as a treasure to be secretly guarded, and may now be irrevocably lost, but I shall still prosecute inquiries, hoping to gain some light into the subject. Touching for the king's evil. In the early part of the reign of Charles I, before he began to quarrel with the subjects about religion, he used to make tours through the country. In coming to a large town, he would announce the persons afflicted with the king's evil, upon being properly recommended, might approach him and receive a cure by the royal touch. When King Charles was at Belvoir, his chamberlain, Lord Pembroke, wrote to the High Sheriff of Staffordshire, the King command, that no ferns should be burnt at the time he was about to visit them, as he understood it brought down rain. Not doubting his people would consider his Majesty's comfort, they would forbear all burning of fern till he had passed through the county, and would be ready to observe his Majesty's commands. Our Leicester historian Thoresby, who was the clerk of St. Martin's, informs us that till of late years were hung up in the vestry of Royal Manifesto, stating that all persons, or procuring a certificate from the church warden or minister, might repair to London and receive a benefit of the royal touch. Charles II, in 5 years, touched more than 23,000 persons. The bishop assisted with a sort of heathenish service for the occasion. This superstitious ceremony was performed in public, and we were told that as soon as prayers were ended, the Duke of Buckingham brought a towel, and the Earl of Pembroke a basin and ewer, and after that made obeisance to his Majesty, kneeled down till he had washed. The forms of service and other particulars may be found in Becket's Touching of the Cure of the King's Evil. This proclamation emanated from the court held at Whitehall, when not less than 20 of the Privy Councillors were present. It further ordered that the times of healing should be from Feast of All Hallows till a week before Christmas, and after Christmas till the 15th day of March, and when his Majesties shall think fit to go on any progress, he will be pleased to appoint such other times for healing as shall be convenient. The bishops were charged to see that this act for performing the great charity should be hung up in all churches. This concludes this episode. I hope you enjoyed. See you again soon. Please like, share and subscribe, and see you again.